Big Herc TV, and I'm your host, Blockhead, and I'm here with Mr. McQueen. Mr. McQueen, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great, and thank you for inviting me. And I'm extremely honored to have you guys here. I've been following this most of the year, and I really appreciate what you guys are doing.
Okay, look, I have a couple questions to ask you, but before we get into it,
okay,
can you give me a little on Mr. McQueen?
Okay.
Where you came from and how you came in this position?
Okay, all right. We'll give you the short version. Most people know I was a career law enforcement officer for just recently retired after 35 years of law enforcement. And I've seen what happens when kids get idle, and the fact that particularly kids in the inner city, it doesn't take much for them to get in trouble. Matter of fact, most kids' trouble is already in the home. It's called a computer. So it don't take much. So me and several other officers, we wanted to do something more on the preventative side, because as I used to tell people, I have a PhD in putting people in jail. I wanted to get a PhD in keeping them from going to jail.
Right.
And so I was coaching almost 20 years, and I just decided at that point that we can use sports to draw these kids in to get the message. Because the game is, for us, is not to build professional athletes, it's to build great citizens. Because once they get in the criminal justice system on the other side, that paperwork follows them the rest of their life. And as you just see here in the state of Florida, people with felony records finally are getting a chance to be able to vote.
Yeah.
And that's one of those things where it's a double punishment. You committed a crime, you're convicted of the crime, you serve your time, but then once you get out, it's still in front of you. You couldn't vote, you couldn't get certain jobs. So that is a great thing that the state did by allowing folks to get their rights restored. But again, it's just part of that process, and that's what happened, what people don't talk about, what happens once you get arrested. So me and some partners, a couple of other police officers, we decided that since we were already coaching youth football and we saw that great audience, let's get involved more heavily. So I got involved. I started my own program called Miami Youth Hurricanes, and actually started a program for the police department first called the Miami Pal Jets. And it was funny, didn't get sponsorship from the police department because the chief at that time was to put them in jail kind of person. He wasn't into the crime prevention side. Got a sponsor out of New York, actually, and that's why we came up with the name Jets. Oh. You know, it gave me a bit of grief, Miami Jets, you know. But it was a wonderful experience because of the fact we got a chance to get with the most amount of kids that we ever get a chance to get with. We do little giveaways and stuff, and you'll never get 100 kids, but through youth football, we were getting 200, 300 kids come out and their parents, so we're able to deliver our message. And that's how I got started. And so just continue to push the issue, and I saw the change that was happening. The kids, when they're in our program, are not in trouble. The area that the programs are located, matter of fact, since we're talking about youth programs, being the Pop Warner president, we go from Florida City all the way up here to North Dade. Look at those areas when those football programs are in session. Crime is down, because guess what? The kids are active. People are there. People are enjoying it. And that's what it's all about for me. And so I've had an opportunity to see the worst side when people get in trouble, and this is my way of giving back to try to keep kids on the straight and good path.
Man, that's great. That's great. Now, okay, you're the president.
Yes.
Of Miami
Greater Miami, South Florida, Part 1.
South Florida, Part 1.
Yes.
Okay. You had 5 teams to go to the regions.
Yes, yes. We're very fortunate. 5 football teams and almost 20 girls cheer and dance. Pop Warner not only does cheer, but they do dance, and they do different type of dance, traditional dance and hip-hop dance. So girls can get a chance to go to national as well, and we were very fortunate we had that many teams go. And our football teams, we almost had all 6. And the goal is to have 8, because there's 2 divisions in Pop, actually 3 divisions in Pop Warner, but down here we only use 2 divisions. Division 1, which is usually the stronger programs, or the programs that have been around a lot longer than Division 2. And so we had 5 teams to qualify, and 4 teams won, and so they'll be going on to Nationals, which is at Disney Worldwide World of Sports ESPN Center.
Okay, let's speak on one of your teams.
Yes, sir.
We're going to go to Goulds Rams,
yes.
115,
yes,
a.k.a. the Supreme
The
team.
Supreme teams. I love these names. It's sort of comical, but when these teams start naming each other and giving each other names, it gives them a little identity, but it's not anything negative. It's a positive thing. So the Supreme team had to battle throughout our year. As we stated, if you get out of Greater Miami, you make it through our Sean Taylor Classic, you've been challenged. So the Supreme team was challenged. But they play football all over this country, and they found out that even though you won Miami, you still got to do your thing at the Southeast Regional Championship and then at National. So the Spring team was one of our teams. They went on, they won, and they will be going to National. Yes, yes.
Okay, let's speak about Palmetto.
Yes.
Palmetto Raiders.
Palmetto Raiders.
Even though they lost,
yes.
How they able to still go to National?
Basically, throughout the whole country, from Hawaii west all the way up to the east, there's 72 teams that get selected champions. Not like other, not downing any other associations, but Pop Warner, you have to be a champion to go to Nationals. Right. But sometimes they take the runner-up as well if there's not enough teams in that weight class. Palmetto's in the what's called the junior varsity weight class, the 155, and because Florida and Southeast region is Alabama, Florida, Georgia, and Mississippi, we're very strong. So they know if our champion come, our run-up is going to be just as good. So we got the invitation this year because there was one slot open. So they decided to let the Southeast region runner-up go. So yes, even though they lost to the Coy Bulldogs, it's a great game, and it was a revenge game for Coy because last year Palmetto beat them. And Coach Knight tried to warn his kids they were going to come with some revenge, but we're just very fortunate that we got the extra invite.
Okay. You know, speaking back on the spring team.
Yes.
Coach Telly.
Yes.
Did a great job with them kids.
Yes. Well, again, as I stated, to get through our grind, our league is a grind.
Right.
And every week they're going to be challenged. And for them to get the kids, because, you know, most coaches, you start off with a picture. And you won't know what that picture looked like until you get toward the end of the season. So it could either be a broken vase or it could be a complete, you know, Rembrandt. And his team really lived up to their name at the end. They became into a real team. That whole entire coaching staff really have those kids focused, and you saw it. I mean, you've actually seen it. And particularly in the Sean Taylor Classic where they had the battle, and of course in Southeast Region had the battle. And trust me, everybody over the country will be gaming for them and heading for them.
But you know, with Coach Telly, he's not new to this.
Nope.
So, you know, he's been there before, so
yeah,
he should know what to do.
Yeah, well, one of the great things about experience, especially some of the coaches that are in Pop Warner, they've had a chance to go to Southeast Region and National. They know the level of play. I mean, one mistake could cost you that game. You're only going to get so many chances on this level. And so those coaches understand how fine-tuned these kids and how disciplined these kids and how focused they need to be. And when you get a chance to get that experience, because the kids haven't had some of the kids haven't had a chance to go, but when a coach get that opportunity, they realize how important it is to fine-tune. And again, and discipline is one of the key things, and of course execution. So I think Telly has taken this experience from the past, and now he has a great chance to bring it on home.
All right, let's speak about Goulds Rams 130s.
Okay.
You know, they was counted out.
Yes, they were.
They was counted out early this year.
Yeah, because
they end up coming to the regionals.
Yeah, well, you think about it. They beat the #1 team. All right, that was a
Razorback.
No, actually, the 130 beat the Northwest Boys Club Ducks.
But I think they was the #1.
Yeah, that's right, #1. And what happened? Goulds had to beat the #2 team, which was the Razorbacks, to play the #1. Yeah. And at our Sean Taylor Classic, the Goulds team came back from behind and beat the #1 seed to advance to the Southeast Regional. And again, a great accomplishment because when you're facing a team that only had one tie throughout the year, and they're a pretty strong team, it was going to be one of those kind of games. But again, the kids and the coaching staff proved in that game, even though you're behind on the scoreboard, the game is not over until that all 3 zeros on the clock, and they proved that. And so that's basically where what happened in the Sean Taylor was one of our most exciting games.
Yeah, that was a great turnaround.
Oh yeah.
Coach Young.
Yes.
Which is, most people know him by Coach Beavers.
It's Coach Beavers, that's right. Like I told you, these nicknames. Yeah, what you think about taking kids from the previous weight class, getting them ready to go up to that next weight class. Sometimes it takes a year. Sometimes it takes a half a season for the kids to click. And those kids really clicked at the right time. You know, at the end of the year, they were clicking, and everybody knew it was going to be a good game. But still, #1 felt a little confident. But you can't be confident. You got to play.
Okay. Yeah, I think they'll be back next year.
Oh yeah. That's a young team. So you get to say 2 years in the same weight class, and so that's a young team. I think they'll come back, and they could be the #1. They could be the 100 team. Well, they will be hunted because they are the Sean Taylor Classic champions, so they will be hunted.
Okay, let's speak about Coach Harper.
Yes, okay. Cedric Harper is not only the coach of the Unlimited team for the Tacolcy, he's also the Tacolcy president. He attends our league meetings. He's the commissioner of the sports program. He's been in the league for many, many years. He's been on a championship staff. And the Unlimited class is something that we've been a little bit lacking here in South Florida. Generally, the teams from out west have been winning it, and so we got a chance now to shock them. We had a couple of teams that have tried, but just couldn't get past them at nationals. But this team that Cedric has put together is, I mean, they execute well. You saw it at Southeast Region. You saw how quick they responded to the ball, and then their precision on offense. So I'm really looking forward to that team, and I think that team will go all the way and win it all.
Okay, let me get a little comfortable.
Okay, there you go. Okay.
Because we're going to talk about Coach Knight.
Okay, our legend.
Yes, the legend.
Yeah.
Coach Knight. He's not new to this again. Once again, he's not new to this. He's been to what, 13?
13. He's won 11. Well, you just have to look at his jacket and see all the national championship patches. Yeah. He's not new to it. If anybody can bounce back from a loss, it's Coach Knight. Let's take you back to the South. The Sean Taylor Classic. He lost to the Overtown Tornadoes, the #1 seed during the regular season, at home. At home, in front of a high school crowd, at home. So he had a chance to play them at the Sean Taylor Classic without a starting quarterback.
Right.
And they were able to pull that game off. So his character as a coach, his character as a person, it goes without question, and his ability to adapt and make the proper adjustment go without question. You don't win 12-13 Sean Taylor Classic and that many national championships that he's won if you don't know what you're doing. So he's a legend in this game. Greater Miami South Florida Pop Warners are extremely honored to have a person like him who not only deal with kids at the high school level, but gives back so much to the kids that he deal with on the youth level, and it shows because a lot of his kids have gone on to do great things, and he's a person of character, and we're very, very honored to have him be part of our association, which is Palmetto Raiders. Right,
and the Bulldogs.
Yes.
It's the team he beat last year.
Yes, and was losing to them last year. Same setup as last year. He was losing to them at the Southeast Region, came back to beat them. But again, we know the revenge is a great motivator. So that team sat back for a whole year and waited. Both teams moved up because, you know, last year Knight won it at the 130, which is our Pee Wee weight class. And this year he's in the junior varsity weight class. That Akoi team is a team he sent home last year. So they moved up as well. So they were waiting. And they had a good game plan. They had some great players, but I still would say if Knight get a second chance at him, it'd be a different ballgame.
Yeah, it's hard to beat him twice.
Oh yes, it's hard. Hard to beat anybody twice, but definitely hard to beat Knight twice. So.
Okay, with this interview today, we spoke a lot about football.
Yes.
One thing we cannot do is leave them cheerleaders out.
No, if we don't speak about our cheerleaders, then of course my phone is going to blow up, and and our head cheerleader commissioner is called the League Cheer and Dance Commissioner, Ms. George Burnby. Has been around for many, many wonderful years. She does a great job preparing the girls just like we prepare the boys. The difference with the girls is it's more pressure on them than the boys. And most people go, well, why? Well, they only have 2 minutes and 35 seconds to get a routine flawless. But boys get a whole hour to get together. You can be losing and still come back. But them girls have to be perfect in everything that they do, from dance, from cheer, and they only have 2 minutes to get it right. So when our girls go compete, they're really competing against everyone and that time clock, because there's so many little things, just like we call them penalties in football. I mean, if a bow falls off, if someone has a different hairstyle than a particular kid, it's a lot of rules that those girls have to follow that boys don't even think about. We just have to worry about the officials, certain penalties, but those girls have a lot of things that could, 1 point could make a difference between you winning and moving forward, or you losing and staying home. And so we have 14 teams that are advancing with cheer and dance going to nationals. So now they're going to compete against girls all over the whole country. And when you haven't seen competition till you see that cheer competition, they go at it. They really go at it.
I really think it's great what Pop want to do, especially with the Disney.
Yes.
Now I'm gonna ask you something.
Okay.
That everybody want to do.
Everybody wants to do.
Why is it so expensive for the teams to travel up there?
Well, unfortunately, you're on Disney property. The teams are required to stay on Disney property. They can't stay, it's a rule because of the fact that the partnership that Pop Warner National has with Disney and ESPN, part of the camaraderie, all these kids have to be within the Disney properties. They do things together, they have events together. Plus, these kids get a chance to meet kids from Hawaii, New York, Chicago, Texas, Arizona. They get a chance to intermingle. And unlike you and I in our days, you had to write letters. Now these kids can change phone numbers, you know.
Exactly.
And these kids wind up being great college roommates and friends throughout years over what they met each other at a Pop Warner championship. So part of that is great that they have to be in the same complex to get a chance to see each other. The expense is definitely high. I mean, I wish that if I had my way about it, they would need to cut that down a little bit, because we do have teams coming from some financially challenged areas. Yeah. Now, one of the things that I've been able to do since I took over as president 6 years ago, had a long talk with some coaches and some members, and they were concerned, the same thing you're concerned. And the one question they asked, why isn't the league doing more to support the teams? So after a 2-hour conversation with a coach, one of our championship coaches, and matter of fact, another coach that was with him who's gone to championship, I asked him, on a very, very minimal amount of money, what could you do to get a football team up to national for a whole week? And he told me roughly cost him about $8,500. That's them scaling it down. That's not using the buses, because everybody want to use the buses. Everybody want to use a few other services that are niceties. But he said if he just take vans, 4 vans, he can get his team up there for $8,500. And so, and I asked him that if we can meet you halfway. He said, if you can meet me halfway, then yes, it's a lot easier for me to raise $4,000 in a 2-week period than it is to try to raise $8,000. So as a president, I vow from day one that we will meet these teams with half of that cost. So since I became the president, and it's historic, but since I became the president, every year our travel teams, football get $4,500, and our cheer, depending on their size, get from $1,000 to $1,500 to offset that cost. Because cheer only has to stay 1 day. Football teams minimum have to stay 3 days. But it's just so convenient to just let them stay the whole week, because you win a game then drive back, and you know that could wear you out. And so as a league, we give each team, and nobody else does this around the country. Nobody. And especially not the local leagues. They don't support those teams, because we have them asking us how we're doing it. But nobody else around the country, even in Pop Warner, no one does what we do supporting our teams that represent us. They represent us. Yes, that shirt may say something on the front, but at the end of the day, they are all a part of Greater Miami. Right. So I am honored to write those checks to those teams, because at the end of the day, they win, the league wins. And at in our March winter meeting, all of the leagues from the Southeast region is at the winter meeting. And then the Southeast region present a trophy to the league for the teams that won the most amount of championships. And so for Greater Miami, we hadn't been stopped. We win the most amount of championships.
Okay, listen. You know, you spoke on about giving back.
Yes.
Okay, Big Herc TV.
Yes.
There was a way for them to give back.
Yes.
You know, they take their time out and everything.
Yes.
To give back by recording every game.
Yes.
And making sure everybody able to see games.
Yes.
Like, you know, exposure for Pop Warner.
Yes.
And speaking about Big Herc and Pop Warner, how can we become partners?
Well, after what I saw this year, the only thing that's going to stop us is us not sitting down and agreeing, because we do have so many people want to come in and they want to do their 10-minute shot or 5-minute shot, and then we never see them again. So we're sort of reluctant, because we want, if you're going to cover, it's covers. Right. Covers. Give the folks a chance to see what is happening here in Pop Warner. No one honors academic achievement. And if you guys remember, at our biggest game, show and tell, we honored our kids who have 96 grade point average or higher, and gave away a $1,000 scholarship to those, the top boy and top girl, 500 each. And people need to see that. People need to see it's not about building football player or cheerleaders. We're about building good citizens. And these kids from this experience get a chance to actually get a positive thing started toward being a great citizen. So if what I've seen Big Herc do this year, by not only covering our babies, they cover the big boys as well. Right. And as you stated, made it open so that the coaches can contact you and say, hey, I need to see some footage. Not run and you can't find them anymore. One of the other things, you guys traveled. You guys went to the Southeast region, went up to Orlando to cover our teams. I can't get a lot of the other media to want to travel. Right. You know, they're just local and can't get them to follow the teams. And then while you guys were there, you gave the people a chance to see what was going on, because as I'm sending out text messages letting folks know the score, people were responding back, "Oh, we're watching it," and I'm going, "How?" But Big Herc TV, and we appreciate you. I really believe that the only thing that can stop us is for some reason we can't come to an agreement, and I don't think that's going to be a problem, because here we are on this beautiful South Florida day out here talking, and I'm very impressed with what you do, and again, I do know that we have some similarities within certain members of your program with what they do by giving back. Right. So I think we can make this work.
Hey, that's no problem. It's easy work.
Okay, all right. Well, then we're gonna make it easy for you. Okay. We're gonna give you all the access you need, because I think you guys need to see everything. You need to come to one of our league meetings and see how that goes, how rules are being applied, how people have to agree. And you'll see sometimes we all don't agree, but at the end of the day, we leave out of that meeting as Greater Miami South Florida. And then how we have to portray what national sends down to us, to our associations, and make sure everybody's on the same page. Because trust me, when we go to nationals, everybody know Greater Miami, the teams have been challenged. Right. We're going to abide by the rules, and we're going to make sure that we're able to abide by the rules. Because there's a lot of rules, but guess what? We don't have a problem with following.
Hey, rules is rules.
That's right.
Hey, listen, thank you for your time, Mr. McQueen.
Yes.
And really appreciate you answering all the questions. So, Big Herc TV is going live. So, that's you. Okay. And this is me. All right. We live.
Yes.
You answer every question.
Well, you didn't ask me one question. We ran into each other a few weeks ago, a couple of days ago. No, it was a couple of weeks ago. And you asked me about what would be the next challenge for Pop Warner. And one of the things that we hope that we could go unlimited for our travel teams.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. See, I thought you was gonna get me just before I get in the parking lot with
you. Listen, because I want to make Pop Warner great again.
Yeah. Well, we are great. Our numbers are not as big as well, but we're still great, because you can see our football.
Let's just
not too many teams. They say they want to challenge, but they really don't.
You call it greater for a reason.
That's right.
But let's go beyond that.
Okay. Hey, spectacular. Whatever we have to do. We here in South Florida is the only place in the country that's surrounded by 6 other leagues. Some of them have great gimmicks, but that's all they are, just gimmicks.
Gimmicks, that's it.
And I mean, from giving out rings to 5-year-olds that to me still don't make any sense. but you know, it's not like they're gold rings or silver rings. These are just little rings, but they use little gimmicks like that to try to attract people. And one of the things that 4 of these organizations were part of Pop Warner, and they broke off to start their own leagues. But everything they do is similar to us, except for 1 or 2 things they change. They don't have national affiliation, which we do. They don't have national rule books, which we do. We have.
Let's not forget the academic part.
Oh no, that was going to be number 1. Academics with us is vital. I mean, let's be honest. We got too many examples, particularly in the Black and Latin community, where we got athletes who can't read, who was able to pass through college without reading. We don't need that anymore. We don't. You know what? If I had my way about it, we don't need kids playing football no more. Let them be the owners of the team. Right. Let's build them to be the owners of the team, because most people think, well, the football player is rich. No, the guy that's writing the check to that football player is really rich. Yeah. So we definitely want folks to understand that academics with us count first. If Johnny or Mary can't read, then they shouldn't be participating. Let's get them reading up the first one. And so we continue to push our standards. And believe it or not, a C average is easy for these kids. And trust me, when you tell these kids that they're not going to participate, they go way beyond that C. They're hitting B's and A's like they should, because they are smart, and we know they're smart. So that's one of the major differences. Secondly, the weight, because Pop Warner believes that kids should be equal age and equal weight. Okay. All right. Some of the local leagues here, they do unlimited weight. And it has its value, but again, you're only talking about 3 or 4 kids per team. Because when you look at most of these teams that are unlimited, all the kids are the same weight, except they have 1 or 2 large-sized kids. Right. They don't have a whole team of large-sized kids. Because even when you saw the limited game this weekend, you saw there was a couple of kids on there that was large, but everybody else was about the same, about 180 pounds. So the same thing here locally. I am disturbed that they let 7- and 8-year-olds play unlimited ball. That's, to me, it's really dangerous for some concern, because you have these babies who are the same weight, and then all of a sudden you have one kid that's just destroying the whole team. So you change your league for one kid versus the benefit of everybody. So, but if we do, we have put the request in for our travel teams, that's teams that travel all the way up to Disney, to become unlimited. And if that happens, Look out.
Hey, and that started at 115, right?
115, yes.
Unlimited.
Unlimited. If we get that approved, look out. Then you're gonna need an extra camera crew.
Does that go on the voting or?
Well, yeah, it has to go through Part 1 of National. And what happens again, because we're national, there's 8 regions. We're part of Southeast region, which is Alabama, Georgia, and Mississippi. There's 8 regions throughout the country, and we have to get a majority vote of those other 8 regions to say yes, it's a great idea. California is saying some of this. Texas is saying some of this with unlimited ball. But there's other part of the country, like maybe New York and Maine and places like that, and Hawaii, they don't have this issue. There's only one team, it's only Part 1, one league. They don't have other leagues, so we're the only ones that's really surrounded. But that's the reason why Part 1 has been around since 1929. That's the reason.
I'm one of them members that played in Part 1.
There you go. There you go. That's the reason. And most people don't really know the history. Part 1 was started by business folks in the police department getting together to come up with ideas to stop youth crime. Because there was high school football and college football, but there was nothing for the youth to do. And what were the youth doing in 1929? Breaking in windows, vandalizing buildings. So they said, let's do something to get these kids involved. And that's how I got started.
Oh, well, I never knew that.
Yeah.
Because all I knew about law enforcement, police departments was the PAL.
Right. No, that was a long time.
I don't know what happened to the PALs.
Well, PALs, unfortunately, down here didn't catch on the way they are in other places. You can go to New York, you can go to Chicago, and that's all kids went to. They went to the PAL centers. Here, people go to the local parks and things of that nature because PAL, like I stated before, sometimes it's on the departments to push it and to promote it and to draw people in. And sometimes you get a chief that is more concerned about putting people in the jail than the preventative side of the house. So, of course, the community relations side is going to suffer. Then you get those other chiefs who are big in both and say, hey, we have to push it. Matter of fact, Jacksonville has a great PAL. There's huge. Tampa also has a huge PAL. They got centers similar to what we at, like a park like this, just loaded with kids. And that's what needs to happen. The PAL programs need to become larger than anything here. Because, again, we get kids to interact with police officers, interact with law enforcement in general, from correction to probation, all of them. We get our kids to interact because we do need people to replace us in these jobs. And we don't ever want to go back to a time when there's no minorities, women, and women and men of different races in law enforcement. We never want to go back to that again. We need these kids, but they need to be exposed to it and realize that it's not nothing to run from. Some people know me as Coach McQueen. Some people know me as Major McQueen. Right. Because they saw me in both. So we do need the PAL departments to step up, become as large as they can, but it has to start from the police departments and those county that they represent need to really support it and push it out because it is a life changer. Because our model with Miami PAL was simple: fill in parks, not jails.
Okay, last question.
Sure.
Will we be seeing the Jets anytime soon?
Nah, I don't think so. We'll see. We'll see.
Okay.
We'll see. But you're definitely gonna see the Miami Hurricanes.
Oh, okay, with the Hurricanes.
Yeah. See, the Jets is part of that other league. Yeah. They're in another local league, and I guess they're happy in the local league because competing on a national standard, you got to be able to compete on a national standard. Right. But the Miami Hurricanes, you will see.
Hey, listen, you heard this from me.
Yeah.
And it's just from me.
Okay.
I'm not saying you saying it, but them other leagues is songs.
Yes. Well, I put it this way: they all claim they want to play us. They all claim they want to be with us, right. and as soon as you approach them, say, "Come on in," then they come up with 1,000 excuses. You have a league not too far from here where they dominate every year. They kill people every year. And when we ask them, well, come on down and challenge Part 1 team, then they come up with 1,000 excuses. We had one team came in for 1 year, and they were the champ of that league. And I advised them to come in Division II and work their way to Division I. But that president adamantly argued with me, said, no, we're Division I material. After starting off 0-5, and the next year they were gone. And then when you ask them why you left, so yeah, because I told you you're going to get challenged every week. No one's going to have an easy day for you. But if they really want the challenge, if you really want to compete on a national level, it's only one place to be. Part 1.
Part 1.
That's it.
Part 1, yes.
That's it.
You ever heard of the Chosen One?
Yes. You got the Chosen. Like I told you, I just love these names. You have the Chosen One, the Money Team, the Supreme Team, Mass Off Team.
The basketball.
They have all these creative names, and I love it because of the fact it gives the team some creativity. It's just like if you look at college, University of Miami was suffering, but when they brought up that turnover chain.
Oh man!
Did it catch fire?
It brought excitement.
Everybody wants to do it except for the Florida State. We got to talk to our Florida State people about that turnover book bag.
That book bag? Where did you get that from?
Protecting Dora. I don't know. But I know University of Miami secured the bag this year.
Yeah.
But that brought such an excitement to those kids, and that's what happened with these names, because a lot of these kids said, "Wait a minute, we're the Mass Off." Yeah. We're the Supreme Team. We're the Chosen One, and right away that gives them that extra bit of motivation. And trust me, if the pro teams right now could mark what University of Miami did, you would see pro teams with some kind of turnover model, because it would definitely heighten up the game. So trust me, I love it. I think that the focus is there, and it's not to demean anybody. It's just giving these kids just something that related to them. You made the Chosen One team. You made the Mass Off team. You made the Money team. And so it's just, I just think it's just great. And anything we can do to keep these kids in our midst and out from these streets, because again, there's some unlicensed pharmaceutical distributors out there who would love to grab these kids. And most people say, well, what's an unlicensed pharmaceutical distributor? They are the poison of our neighborhoods.
Yes.
They kill our neighborhoods. They kill these kids' future, because they recruit them, and once these kids get caught, then they forget about it. So it's our job to keep them here, keep them away from those folks, because they mean these kids in the community no good.
Exactly.
And so that's what our job is. And so if we have to give special names of teams to draw them in, let's do it.
Let's get to it.
Let's do it.
And I like to give a thanks to Florida City Commissioner.
Yes, Herc Dewberry. A person who's been around for a long time. He's on our executive board. Herc is a wealth of information because of his knowledge. National championship winning coach. So trust me, he's been on both sides of that. He knows what it is to win it and knows what it is to lose it. But every year he's going to come. He's going to prepare a team. And the work that they're doing down there, because that team is with the city of Florida City. They really help keep that team financially secured as best they can. But it is a community thing, and that's why they're so successful, because the cities. And if I can encourage any city, any county, take these teams, look at them. That's the reason why some of these programs have been around for 20 years, 15 years. They're not fly-by-night programs, because we have a lot of teams that pop up today and then they're going tomorrow. But you look at these Pop Warner teams. You look at Tacolcy with Cedric Hopper, been around 40 years.
Wow.
Liberty City, 29 years. Palmetto, all these teams got 20 years. Look at Clarence Moss down at Palmetto, been in Pop Warner, just was honored this year as one of our Hall of Famers, over 30 years. 30 years of giving back to the community. And we just need these commissioners and elected officials and the mayors look at this and see what value that these programs are bringing.
I was going to start from the bottom.
Yes.
With Kurt.
Yes.
And work my way up.
Yes.
Like to Mr. Demps.
Yes. Demps has been around a long time, and again, a former executive board member. Again, giving back to the community. He does anti-violence marches. The people in Goulds know him for his work that he do down there, and that's what we try to tell folks. It's not just football and cheer. Look at the other work that these folks who involved in these programs are doing. How many youth programs are involved in anti-marching against violence and stuff of that nature? Unless they're in Pop Warner, I haven't heard about it.
Me neither. And once again, Commissioner Moss.
Yes, legend. And also he's my vice president.
Yep.
I lean on him heavily for things that I don't know, or if I have something that I want to try that may be a little controversial, and I ask him, hey, have you seen this before? And he can dig back into his memory bank of history, which is great to have somebody like that near me, and he's very honest with me, and that's what I really appreciate, because he'll let me know, yeah, that's a great idea, it's not a good idea, but it's not personal. Right. He's going to explain to me why, and that's why we have such a good working relationship. My previous vice president, as you know, was Kenny Wilcox. Unfortunately passed away. 41 years at Boys and Girls Club.
Wow.
18 years within Pop Warner. And what a great man. And when we lost him suddenly, it was just a no-brainer to ask Clarence to fill his spot, and then Clarence filled his spot, and now he's running for the vice president. So I think we lost one legend, but we also gained another as well.
Yeah, and I'd like to give a big shout out to Biggs.
Yeah. Biggs serves as one of our auxiliary members. She's not a voted-in member. But she does a lot of work. Most people think she's a voted-in member. She's not. She served at the will of the president, me. And so, but her knowledge of Pop Warner goes without question, because she's been around a long time. Down with the Richmond program, but also served as a helper with the league. So you'll see her running around at Southeast Region. You'll see her running around at our championship games, and has a wealth of knowledge, and not afraid to give it out.
Well, I'd like to thank you once again.
No problem.
Mr. McQueen, a.k.a. Can I call you Craig?
You can call me Craig.
Well, I'm Block.
All right, Block, you got it. Well, you can call me. Well, we're going to build this relationship, so like I said, my friends call me Craig.
Okay. All right. As y'all can see, it's Big Herc TV with Mr. McQueen and Blockhead.
Yes, sir.
We out, y'all.
Thank you. All right. Good job, man. Anytime, man. Anytime. You guys let me know.